And this is like,
Love it.
nope, not today.
I I was gonna wear my Smash Brothers shirt or my Star Fox shirt in honor of Mario, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to Universal. I definitely want to wear those at the park, so I packed them away.
Oh, that's fair. I like the shirt you have on though.
Thank
Nice and
you.
colorful.
Yeah, I like this one. It's way it's like 3 sizes too big, but I still like wearing it.
Yeah, it looks good on you.
Thank you.
Are you, speaking of Mario, are you excited for that movie?
I am so excited, especially now that it's like starting the Smash Brothers verse. I can't wait. I'm like,
The NCU.
yeah, it's so funny because like I'm not a fan of Chris Pratt. I'm not a fan of I don't like really like Glenn Powell, but like honest the voice
Who does
actors
Glenn Powell play?
he's Star Fox. He's Fox.
They announced.
They announced it today.
I missed that.
Yeah. I think it's a good choice. I mean, like I don't like him, but I see the voice working.
Yeah. Isn't Seth the voice of DK?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Donald, do you know Donald Glover's the voice of Yoshi? Which is crazy to me because you do not need a famous person for that. I feel like they're wasting him. He could voice like a real character. He could voice Falco. He would be perfect Falco.
Listen, they got a famous person to voice Groot and Rocket. Well, actually, never mind. Rocket, you need a voice for.
Yeah.
But Groot, anybody could have said, I am Groot.
Groot even says words though. Yoshi doesn't say words. Yoshi just says Yoshi. And then hee hee ha ha.
When did I miss something? When does Groot talk?
What?
When does Groot talk other than his name?
I'm saying he says his word. He says words. He says I am Groot. Those are 3 words. They have 3 more words than Yoshi says.
I mean, okay, but like, it's just I am Groot.
I know. You don't need a famous person for that. You're right.
No, yeah.
But I'm saying like at least there are 3 words for the celebrity to be or the actor to be saying, as opposed to Yoshi, which is just noises.
Can you imagine the studio time for that? All right, just say this one line and you're done. But also in some adaptations, I don't. He talks.
I hope not in this movie. I don't want Yoshi to talk.
I wouldn't be opposed either way. I wouldn't be opposed if they did like. He mostly says his name, but every once in a while he will say something. Because, like, Yoshi's intelligent.
I'm not saying he's stupid, but I just don't think like he's.
I just mean like.
Well, now
he's
you got
capable.
me out here getting canceled for saying Yoshi's stupid. No, but I just think like I don't know. To me, he's it's like Kirby. Like I don't want Kirby to say anything in the movie or Pikachu. I don't want them to talk. Pikachu's got to say Pikachu. Kirby's got to be like hi, or maybe Kirby could talk. I don't know. I think Kirby shouldn't personally.
I don't think Kirby talks, but Kirby had his own show.
I remember that show. Yeah, Link had his own show.
Kirby. Huh?
Donkey Kong had a show. They had a musical episode, and some of the songs were actually banger.
Yeah. Listen, all I'm saying is if Yoshi talks, even if I'm okay if he talks as long as they do it appropriately.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have high hopes because I'm not a fan of the Mario voice. It doesn't have to sound like the cartoon. It doesn't have to sound like the actual video game Mario. I think Chris Pratt has to put in at least a little bit of effort not to just sound like himself.
No, when I watched the first movie, it's hard to even tell it's him for me. And
Say so. I can hear it.
maybe I'm pretty lenient when it comes to it. I don't know. The scene where he talks to the previous Mario voice actor was pretty cool. Like
That was cool.
In the scene. Yeah, in the beginning. But 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of You versus Who. We are at it again. And for whatever reason, we just won't stop.
You have so much energy. I love it. You're just like coming into this hot.
I've had 2 Celsius and a coffee today, so I apologize in advance, but not really.
No, I love it. That's the energy we need.
1000%. I'm just excited to do this podcast because it is a dream come true. I get to do what I love just for the fun of it. And if you guys love it and are here for the ride, then continue to listen. I will announce this will probably take effect before this episode comes out, but regardless, we would have gone weekly instead of bi-weekly, which I think is super exciting. It will be a lot more work, but I am up for it. I am up to the task, as they say.
Listen,
Nowhere.
our millions and millions of subscribers expect greatness from us, so we have to give it to them.
Hi, audience from China, France, and some state down south. I don't know. That's a little bit of hyperbole. But this is a podcast show where we talk about all things nerdy, all things geeky, and quite simply,
All things.
it is the show about hot takes on everyday debates. I will get that down. I think I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's great. And I am your host, Sven. If you haven't already come to know me, I am eccentric, I am weird, but above all else, I am empathetic. I don't know.
No,
I'm riffing.
I think you got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Dan. I'm the co-host. I'm a little bit silly. I'm a little bit sassy, but mostly I'm here to have fun. And this show has not stopped being fun. So I'm gonna keep doing it until I don't have fun anymore.
I will say I am an enjoyer of a lot of things and master of none. And that's a great way to put it.
I like that. No, that's good.
Dan is, yeah, he's a wild boy, and we love him.
Mm-hmm.
We love him around here.
Stop.
Yeah. On this show, though, we have the boat buzz, the bucket of potential arguments. I can't wait for the day where I'll just say boba and people will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're coining a phrase. TM.
It's it'll be in the lexicon soon enough. There will be. My hope is that in 10 years, boba will just make the Webster dictionary.
People are saying that bopa's so sus. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty sus.
That bopa's got some riz.
It's got riz, it's a little sus, and that is because it is full of chaos, it is unpredictable, we do not know what'll happen. We have 2 bopas. That's right, not 1, 2.
Too many bopas.
Nah. Actually, introduce a third one. Who gives a fuck? We have the main quest bopa and the side quest bopa, and every episode we will randomly pull a ticket out of them that will have a this versus that format. Maybe it's your top 3 favorite or whatever's. I don't know. But it's chaos, it's fun, it's improvised. We don't know what's going to happen this episode. I put all the tickets in there. I don't know which ones I'll pull out. Dan doesn't either.
No, I'm clueless as usual.
Dan has added some of his in there, and I hope to pull one of them because I think they'll be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so we'll pull a few side quests usually to warm up the debate, get our engines rolling, grease the frying pan, get it nice and hot. And then we'll jump into the main quest bucket where the hot and ready pizzas are. Let's just put it that way.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Absolutely anything can happen. Let's get it going. Dan, are you ready?
I am ready. Hit me.
Audience members, are you ready? I heard it. They're ready.
That's where you should add in a sound effect of a bunch of people screaming.
Wah! Yeah. Like we're in a concert or something. At an arena. Maybe one day we'll do arena shows. Who knows?
You versus who at Madison Square Garden? I'm saying it now, putting it out to the universe.
Maybe the universe will bless us. Sometimes it does. To start off this episode, our first ticket is Apple versus Android. And I don't need a second to think about this. I absolutely know which side of the fence I'm on. It is Android all day, every day, baby. Fuck everything else.
So you're wrong. No, it's Apple. It's 100% Apple. Ever since I had an Apple, I don't want to go to anything else. If you have any Apple product, you know how to work it. Apple is super simple to use. I don't need any extra bells and whistles. I don't need phones that are getting too complicated and whatnot. I will stick with an Apple till the day I die. It's Apple.
As the people of our generation would say, shaking my damn head. You are absolutely incorrect. In fact, you pointed out that once you went to Apple, you wouldn't go back to anything else. That is absolutely a con.
Why?
It is because it is a company that is trying to put you in their ecosystem and trap you there. You are trapped. You can't go anywhere else. You don't have another option. If you were to do so, your whole life is in shambles. And that's unfortunate. That means that one company holds your entirety, your life in its entirety, and you can't escape. That's it. You're trapped. Like an Indiana Jones movie, you are trapped. Yeah.
Don't you use Indiana Jones against me.
I went there.
Don't you bring that up.
You are forever trapped in a dungeon that you cannot escape from. Android, on the other hand, you have it's not even the fact that you can do whatever you want with your phone. It's that if I went with Samsung today and I said, you know what? Fuck Samsung, which by the way, Samsung, I would never say that. I love you guys to death. I will support you forever. Please sponsor us. But if I did, I could go to Google, for example, and get their Pixel phone. I can go to a company other than those two that I mentioned. The only one I can think of right now is LG, and unfortunately, they stopped producing phones. But in fact, I could even go to Apple if I so chose to do, which I would never do. But if I wanted to, I could go to Apple. And yeah, I don't know. Once you're with Apple, though, it's hard to get out of it.
Look, is Apple a great company? No. They did the whole thing with their lightning cables that I thought was a pretty shitty move on their part. They
You're
got
already
forced.
making the argument for me.
Oh, okay. But yes, yes, I agree that it would be hard for me to leave Apple if I wanted to. No one else is offering me anything that I want. Apple has everything that I need. Apple's simple, straight and to the point. I have not seen anything in a phone that I would want to leave Apple for. And even if there was some feature that I wanted, Apple's just going to get it in a year. And I don't
In a
have to worry about it.
year? 5 years.
All right. Well, but what's the feature? What does your Android do that my Apple iPhone does not do? And it has to be
This. Can your phone fold? No. And yes, they're coming out with one now, but I've had this since 2021.
okay. All right. That's like me putting a little hat on my phone and being like, "You don't have a little hat on your phone. Who cares? What do I need that for?" I have it. Where's my phone? I have a relatively big screen as it is. Like, I don't need a bigger screen. I don't need
Is
something that
it bigger
folds.
than mine?
Then I'll get an iPad. Like, why? Just because yours is different does not mean that it's better. I need a feature that is specifically better on an Android than an iPhone.
Okay, so I've worked with phones for literally most of my career. Most of my working life has been spent selling cell phones. Apple's great for simplicity, for easy, user-friendly, for their ecosystem. It's great. But I will say Apple just got sued because of that same ecosystem. It's almost a monopoly. What feature do I have that Apple doesn't? I think it's 2026. We're at an age now where most phones are comparatively the same. Down to the processors are going to probably be similar, or if not the same. The camera is the same way. At this point, it's not about hardware, it's about software. And I just feel like Apple gatekeeps and locks everything behind their Play Store. They don't have, like, you have to pay for apps, for a lot of apps. Maybe that's not true anymore, but
You don't have to pay for Android app?
You do. It used to be a time where a lot of free apps would be behind a paywall on Apple, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I'm trying to make an analogy here that I think would be similar. And I feel like having an Android is like having a PC, whereas Apple is like having a console. They're going to do the same thing. They allow you to play the same games. And depending on your PC, they'll have the same components and the same power behind it. But with Android, aka PC, you have the capability of doing more, and you have free access to, like, you're not limited to whatever software the other company is trying to put you, right? Like, in a console, I can't download an Xbox game on a PlayStation. I'm limited. On PC, I can have a game that's on either or. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have the access to either or.
Yeah.
And Android is basically the same way. Like, if I don't like the software that I'm given, or, there's like apps where you don't, it's not necessarily in the Play Store, but it is out there on the internet and you can access it through APIs, then I'm allowed to have that on an Android. And the reason why is for safety, right? Like, that's Apple's biggest strength, is safety. But I'm not a kid. And also, if I want the risk of having something, or if I run the risk of having something giving me some kind of virus or whatever, then that's on me and I should accept responsibility. I don't need a company telling me or limiting me to what I can or cannot have.
I get that, but I do think like along those lines, like I want my phone for texting, for watching videos, for like I want it for the stuff that all phones have it for. I think if there's anything that like specifically I want to download or whatnot, like let's say I wanted to download an emulator. I don't want to play an emulator on my phone. Even the size of your screen, I don't want to play an emulator on that. I want to play an
That's
emulator on
crazy.
television. I want to play it on like something bigger. So for that, I use my computer. Like there's nothing I feel like there's nothing that I'm limited from with my iPhone that I like there's nothing I want out there that my iPhone doesn't already give me. And I just think like yeah, I just think like again, Apple's not a great company. Eat the rich, down with Tim Cook, all of it. But I would just rather like I just like the simplicity of it. I know when I get a new iPhone, I go in there, 5 minutes, they move everything over, and I don't have to worry about it. I know if they came out with the Apple didgeridoo, I already know how to work the Apple didgeridoo because all Apple products work exactly the same. It just makes life that much easier. I don't need anything on top of that. So yeah, I like it's if there was a world where I didn't have my laptop or something, or I didn't have a console, like yes, I think my phone would be a lot more important to me. But I try not to put everything on my phone. I want my phone for texting, for calling, for FaceTiming in very rare situations. Like I don't want anything beyond that. And for me, it's Apple.
I mean, I get that. And of course, with this show, like we have to put our arguments forward for our own personal experience. And in my eyes, I just feel like overall, I don't think people should be restricted in what they can or can't have on their phones, regardless of what they want on their, like whether or not they want it. I don't think wanting it should be a factor in whether or not your phone gives you that access. That's
I see what
like
you're
where I'm at.
saying. Yeah, but I think most people though don't want that the additional stuff on their phone. I think most people just want it for texting and for social media and stuff like that. Like there's plenty of other opportunities out there for sure. Like I just think it's not like yes, people shouldn't be limited, but like I don't think it's a thing a lot of people want as much. Like
Yeah, I
jailbreak their
get,
phones.
and that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that you're saying like I just want my phone to do X, Y, and Z, and Android does X, Y, and Z,
Yeah, yeah. No,
but
it
it
sure does.
but it also doesn't let you. It also lets you do V, W, and all the other letters of the
Other letters.
alphabet. Yeah, yeah. That's like where I'm. That's what I'm saying.
Well, then
Listen,
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one because I'm still Apple. I still Apple does phones better. I think. I think what Android does is everything else better.
to me, this debate, it's like that's why it's in the bucket. It honestly probably deserves to be in the main quest. To me, this debate is probably as iconic as like Team Jacob versus Team Edward. Like I don't think people will ever settle on an agreement. I think it'll always just be like, hey, we'll agree to disagree, and that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
and
1,000% fair.
Team Edward is Apple and Team Jacob is Android. I think.
And I'm totally Team Jacob every day. Taylor Lautner, thank you so much for your services. Robert Pattinson, you were great and all, but I think Taylor Lautner is for the people.
That's crazy to say, especially looking at their careers now. That you're
I
like,
know. I
screw
know.
Robert Pattinson. I want Taylor Lautner.
I almost
Screw Kelly Clarkson. I want Kelly Clarkson. I want oh my god, what was the guy? Who's the runner up? I can't remember his name. Justin Guarini.
on that same note though, what was that one season with the two Davids as a finalist, David Archuleta and David
And David Cook, yeah. That was
Cook?
like 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, who cares about David Cook? I'm just saying.
True. Whatever happened to him?
But I also just couldn't say that with a straight face, the Team Jacob thing. But on that note, the next side quest bucket ticket is time travel versus the multiverse. And this was one of yours, actually, believe it or not.
Was one of mine. Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I started that first ticket very strongly. So why not follow it up? I mean, what are the conditions of this? I think in terms of like storytelling, time traveling is the better vehicle. In terms of like concept, I think a multiverse is the better thing. So it really depends on the conditions that we're setting forth. Because for me, I probably lean more towards time travel, even though it's rarely done correctly. I think multiverse is easier to do because it's kind of a free for all. You can kind of do whatever you want and be like, it's very hand wavy. It's very, yeah,
There's no
anything's
rules.
possible. There's no rules. Time travel, there's like the, laws of physics that we have to follow. And I mean, probably the same true for the multiversal concept, but it's just more lenient in the rules. I feel like you could take more liberties. Time traveling, you can really upset a lot of people if you get the physics and the science behind it incorrect. And a lot of stories do them incorrectly. I can't even really think of one that does it well. And there's a thing where,
well?
yeah, and there's a thing where it's like, it can do it well, but it doesn't do it correctly. Like the logic doesn't apply. And so that's,
I think it's tough for both of them if you're trying to make an entertaining story to kind of stick to the rules for sure. I think of the time travel versus the multiverse the same way I feel about science fiction versus fantasy. To me, fantasy and the multiverse are the same thing. It is, you could just make up whatever random thing you want. There's no rules. You can just you could shoehorn in any random idea that you want. I think there are rules to time travel, like there are rules to science fiction. You know what I mean? I I think I also lean in the time travel venue, even though it is much more restrictive. I think there is an excitement and interest to see how things wrap up a lot more than with the multiverse because the multiverse can have a multitude of endings as opposed to something like a time travel movie where like I'm thinking the Terminator, I'm thinking Back to the Future, where you're constantly watching this being like how is what they're doing affecting the future, like sort of what do they know that they don't know. I mean there's a similarity in all of them, but there's also rules. And I think that
yeah.
makes it much more interesting. I'll agree that I think a lot of time travel movies don't do it very well, but I'm also not like a super stickler for being as scientifically accurate as possible. I think there's got to be some leeway for entertainment purposes. I think there's definitely time travel movies that do it very weirdly and make very weird decisions. The one that comes to
Yeah,
mind is Back to the Future when
of
he's looking
course.
at the picture of his siblings and he's watching them like slowly erase, but they're like erasing part way. So like it'll be like his brother without his head, and I'd be like, okay, so you're telling me if you went to the future right now, your brother just doesn't have a head? Like that doesn't make sense.
Logically, it should just be like instant, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
should
Or
just
he just
vanish,
be gone.
assuming that that's the rules of time travel.
Yeah. So I think that's a little weird, but overall, I do think time travel is a much more interesting concept.
Like, I want to do something here. I want to look up what the internet thinks are the top time travel movies, and
Ooh,
kind of
okay.
break them down and see like what see.
It's got to be Back to the Future and Terminator 2. I imagine those two are both on there. Bill and
So, of course, Back to the Future trilogy is ranked on top because they're definitive, fun, and consistent time travel adventure. And I feel like consistent might not be the best word there. I don't know. I actually haven't watched all three of them, so I'm not sure if it's consistent within its franchise.
I think it's consistent in that it's not a lot of jumping around. You know what I mean? Like they go to one time for the most part and just stay there.
Okay. And then on here, it's also Interstellar for its scientific take on time dilation.
I didn't really like it. Interstellar
I
personally.
enjoyed Interstellar, but I don't know if I would ever call it a time travel movie. But I can see what they're saying. 12 Monkeys is on there for a
Wow.
time loop, and the Terminator/Terminator 2 Judgment Day is a quintessential high stakes time loop action film, which I also think is done incorrectly, but it is a fun story. And I think the one on this list that I probably enjoy the most is Looper, and
Looper's good.
even I feel like Looper is also logically incorrect,
Yeah.
but it is a fun future past self type story. I mean,
You also mentioned time loops. I mean, think of Groundhog Day. That is a time travel movie. Like that
also
is
there's like I know you don't like horror, but also I think it's Happy Birthday to me or Happy
Happy Death
Birthday,
Day.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
That's another like time loop. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's things like that with time travel movies. That's like super. There's people aging backwards. There's like different ways to do time travel movies. I think the one people mostly think of is somebody goes from one time to another, usually the past, and they have to do something to save the future.
I will say there's one on this list that I know my friends have brought up a lot of times, and I still haven't watched it, and I really should. It's Dark on Netflix. That's like considered probably one of the best complex and consistent time travel stories. I have like a lot of science-y friends, let's say. That's not a word, but I made it a word. And they always refer to Dark as like, oh, like if you want a time travel story, that's the one you should watch. And so I should make some time to like probably watch it, but yeah, there's not much else on this list, and so I think consistency is what makes time travel stories pretty hard. I still kind of prefer them over anything else, and I think Marvel kind of watered down the whole multiverse thing within their own IP. So I think it has like a people have like a negative connotation reaction to it or something like this. They just don't. It came after Endgame, which again was an Infinity War. Endgame is another time travel story that most people say is logically incorrect. And so coming off of that and then doing a multiverse story, it kind of left like a sour taste in people's mouth. I actually enjoy the multiverse saga so far. I'm probably in the minority there.
I like it.
And yeah, I think it's a fun concept. I'm excited to see how they'll wrap it all up with the following two Avengers films. So we'll see. I think that it's premature to say that it's a terrible saga until we get the wrap up. Because for all intents and purposes, I think the Infinity Saga, there were some hit or misses in there too. People just remember it more fondly because they wrapped it up really nicely. And, you know, they did have some huge hits in there. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I would go time travel.
Yeah, same here.
Let's pull our next ticket and see. The first one was staunchly opposed. The second one was in agreement. Let's see if we can go back to staunchly opposed. This was pretty tame. I feel like the last one was very cerebral.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit more floaty. This one's Dine In versus Takeout.
That's easy. That's takeout. This is what we're gonna fight about. I do not want. I would rather. We talked about house parties versus going out. I would rather be home. I don't need the atmosphere of I have a perfectly good home. I also do not need to sit around and wait for that damn check. I don't need to wait for the things that I want. I just want to take my food and I want to eat it at my own pace and I want to do my own thing. And cleanup is not for takeout. Cleanup is not that hard. I would much rather take out. Uh, I like being home, and I can eat. I could if we got Chinese food, or we got Chinese. Oh, we got Wendy's today. We had Wendy's. We ate it at the dining room table. But there's times we just eat it on the couch and watch TV. There are times when we eat separately because somebody's busy with something. You can do all these possibilities to take out. I don't like being in restaurants, especially when you're waiting on the check and stuff. I also have a little bit of a personal story. I have a little bit of PTSD because I have a family that we used to go when we would go to a restaurant and the check would come, it would sit there and we would all just sort of like sit in silence. You could ask my brother about this and just be just like, there was this thing about like, it almost felt like we were biding time at a restaurant, and I used to hate just sitting there and waiting to go home even though no one was talking. And so maybe that turned me off to eating out, but I would much rather just go home.
I know we've established that you're an introvert, and so that's a big case for your argument here. I'm also an introvert. I may be more, I think ambivert is the word, right?
I think it's omnivert. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, whatever the word is. So I may be a little bit of both. I'm a little mixed. I will say I lean a little bit more to my introvertism. That's not a word though. I know that for a fact. And I'd still rather dine in. I don't want to say rather. I think it's one of those like the big celebration versus a low key hangout thing situations where I think it depends on the situation. But the reason why I prefer to dine in is because for me, I don't enjoy my food to potentially get too cold. I'm like one of those people that once my food gets cold, I'm turned off. Like I'll lose my appetite. I'll like just not want to eat it anymore. I like my food to be like pretty much right off the grill, right off the stove, whatever. I cannot stand waiting for my food. That's like my biggest pet peeve. To the point where like even when I cook at home, a lot of times I'll like make my plate before I serve everybody else because I don't even want to wait for my food to like cool down. I like my food super hot. And so that's like the reason why I don't like takeout. It's just because it takes too long to get my food, to be able to like sit down and enjoy my food. I like the ambiance of eating in my home. I like the idea of being in the comfort of my own home when I eat. I just don't want the potential of my food getting cold. And I've had bad experiences where the delivery person, hats off to them. They do an amazing service. Thank you guys for everything that you do. But unfortunately, there's just times, and it happens, where my food doesn't show up on time or it gets delayed so much that by the time I get it, it is cold and it's spoiled and it's just not as fresh. Like, I don't like soggy bread. I want my bread to be nice and toasty. I don't.
Yeah.
And so I think I like the idea of takeout more than the actual takeout itself, but that is why I prefer dine-in. I agree with you though, that awkward silence waiting for the check, or even just like people rambling on, and I'm just like, I just want to go. Like, we've already
Yes.
finished eating. Let's get out of here. Like, I understand that. And to that, I say, bitch, tell them let's go. Let's just
It's
get the
true.
fuck out of here. Like, I'm like,
depends who
listen.
you're with if you can say that or not.
Okay, maybe you don't curse, but just be like, listen, I got somewhere to be. Actually, I have another appointment. I gotta go.
I think okay, when you said takeout, I think I was thinking more delivery. So I think there is a difference there with like takeout, you are going to the place to pick it up and leave. So I think there is a bit, I agree. I was also under the impression, I was thinking of like the best instance of dining out versus the best instance of takeout. Yes, I agree with you. I don't like it when it's cold. I also think there's a lot of foods that don't travel as well. Like if I get a burger and fries, it is almost always a soggy ass burger and soggy ass fries. And
It is the literal reason I have sold everyone I've ever known on getting an air fryer back before, like when air fryers were a new thing. I was like, look, if you hate soggy fries, I know you do because I do.
Yeah.
And I know everybody does. Get an air fryer. Like it's essentially the only reason I have one.
100%. No, I do think that is a big point in dining in's favor. But I would rather go through the process of finding the restaurant that sends the food in time and sends it good and like get your usual place than go out to eat. There are some of my favorite restaurants that I've can think of off the top of my head that I've never stepped foot inside because I just get the food delivered. I know it's not great, it's extra money and whatnot, but like I don't want to go sit down. I also have a child. Just throwing that out there. I'm not. It's a whole other thing to go to a restaurant with a child.
I get that. I get it.
But
I mean, I don't have a child, but I get it.
No, you've been in a restaurant with a child, and we all know how that goes.
To cap that all off, even picking up the food itself and bringing it home, for me, that's still even too much. Like, it still doesn't win me over. Like, I'll most likely eat it on the way home because that's how much I won't wait for the amount of like, I'm so impatient whenever I'm in a situation where I am going to pick up food, like maybe with somebody with me, and the food's just sitting there and they're like trying to talk to me, and all I can think about is like, I want to eat that. I want to eat like right now. Like, and especially because most of the times I'm the one driving. So all I can think of in my brain is, God, I wish I was the passenger right now because I would be, I'd be eating that plate of food right now.
So is drive-through the happy medium here, because you are picking it up hot and fresh from the restaurant, and usually with drive-through it's something you could eat in the car. French fries, a burger, whatever it is, chicken nuggets.
It is the happy medium, and I mean, I can't lie and say I don't go through drive-thrus more often than not. But I also, to cap it even all the way off, buffets are a thing, and I love me a fucking buffet. Like, that's
Buffets are. Yes, I try not to think about the germ side of it, but you can pick as much of whatever you want as possible. There's nothing better than having a plate of 20 different things that is just one piece. It is heaven, because sometimes that's all you want is one piece. You just want one one potato, one broccoli. Like, you know what I mean? Nothing better.
In fact, for my birthday this year, I think that's what I want to do. I want to go to a buffet.
Yeah, let's do a buffet.
Yeah, I'm down. let's get into the main quest, Boba.
I don't know why I'm punching.
First, actually, it fits because the first ticket out of there is Hulk versus Doomsday from Superman.
Sorry, say it one more time.
It's Hulk, the Hulk. I am Hulk.
Versus
I don't
Doomsday?
think he says that. Versus Doomsday, yeah.
Interesting combo.
Yeah. It's a little bit of Marvel versus DC here, but I'm all for it. In the parentheses, too, though, it says versus Superman. Like, because Doomsday and Superman are pretty similar in power scale. It's just like Doomsday is usually the one villain that kind of defeats him in most stories. So.
Okay.
So it's essentially thinking of it as Hulk versus Superman. Doomsday just physically looks a lot closer to the Hulk.
Sure.
Are you familiar with Doomsday?
I know of Doomsday. I like know him as a character. I don't know a lot of the stories behind him. I know he's like a galactic warlord, and I know about him getting stuck in the negative zone. Is that what it's called?
Well, I think you're thinking of Darkseid, maybe.
I am thinking of Darkseid. You're right. Doomsday.
Yeah. So go ahead and pull it up if you want, but I'll also share my screen. Doomsday looks like this. You see, like very physically menacing, bulky. He appeared. I know he appeared in Smallville
Okay.
in terms of like a what am I thinking of? Like movie TV adaptation. um, I don't know. Did he appear in the Snyderverse? I don't even know.
I haven't seen enough of the Snyderverse to know.
Okay. Well, for all intents and purposes, we can think of this as Hulk versus Superman. I think those are two very iconic people.
Sure.
But if you like, just think of Doomsday as like, yeah, he's kind of like in the same rail of power scale of the Hulk.
Okay.
He does appear in Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. He was portrayed by Robin Atkins Downs through voice acting and motion capture.
Okay.
He is a prehistoric Kryptonian. So just like Clark Kent, aka Kal-El. Kal-El, no. We all know where that's from.
Queen.
Oh yeah. He has superhuman strength, stamina, durability, speed, and leaping instead of flying. But he leaps just like the Hulk, really large distances. He has a healing factor. He has an adaptive evolution, immortality. So technically, he can't die. The Hulk is kind of in the same, in the same scale of that. He has telescopic vision and a controlled bone growth, which is why he has like all these weird features on him. But yeah.
So I'll just say Doomsday to me sounds a little one note in terms of a character. He's a big, scary monster. He's full of rage. He fights. He's the villain. There's plenty of characters like that. Comics need that. I think what makes the Hulk incredible. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. What makes the Hulk incredible is,
No pun intended.
I'm so good at this, is the Bruce Banner side of things. I think that like Jekyll and Hyde collaboration between Bruce Banner and the Hulk makes the Hulk a really interesting character. He's got a tragic backstory. He's got this thing where he's fighting with his inner demons while also using them to try to save the world. There's a lot of like back and forth, fighting there. He's also got the smarts side of things. I think the Hulk just in general is a more interesting character who it seems like can do all the stuff except for the bone growth thing that Doomsday can do. I think I gotta go the Hulk, unless there's some sort of like tragic backstory I'm not thinking or knowing about or something like that. I think I'm gonna lean the Hulk.
More so. Well, if we're talking about like a character, I think you're right. The Hulk is more. I think the Hulk is a more compelling character. Doomsday is interesting because he's one of the few people who actually defeat and kill Superman.
Okay.
So like the famous story Death of the Superman, which I have pulled up right here, he was the one who accomplished that, and not many people can say that they've defeated Superman because he's Superman. He was able to defeat the entire Justice League in a matter of minutes, which is a huge feat. I mean, the Hulk has similar feats as well. Yeah, like he's able to defeat the Avengers. He's known as the strongest Avenger. Oftentimes, I think Thor kind of also takes that title a few times, but Hulk and Thor tend to be the two strongest Avengers in that scale of things. The It says here in Superman Volume 2, number 75, Doomsday and Superman beat each other to death in front of the Daily Planet, which is crazy. Like, imagine, like, beating each other to such a pulp that, like, you both just die from your injuries.
Yeah.
And then imagine that this character is, or the person that's dying is Superman, a character that we like to think of as, like, almost immortal, can't be beat, I would say, like, if it was a death battle to the end, it depends on the version of Hulk, because if we're talking World Breaker Hulk, Savage Hulk, he doesn't have anything restraining him, but almost every other version of the Hulk, he probably has, like, some kind of morality in there somewhere, even as crazy as that sounds for the character of the Hulk, whereas, like, Doomsday just doesn't have any of that. And it's just only because the Hulk has Bruce Banner, the consciousness of Bruce Banner in him,
Right.
that there's a potential of that. So it depends on who's writing the story, obviously. But I think in a death battle, Doomsday doesn't have that kind of, like, consciousness or morality or, like, even the risk of him, like, being like, oh, you know what, maybe what I'm doing is bad, I don't know, I'm gonna stop. Like, he doesn't have that. So I think in a death battle, Doomsday wins. In terms of, like, character, I think the Hulk is a more compelling character. He has some of the best lines ever. When he's Bruce Banner, there's like a sympathetic feeling towards him where you're like, you feel for the Jekyll and Hyde situation. He has this anger inside of him that I think we can all relate to. That's just bottled up, and when it unleashes, it's hurt people is a good saying I like to say, and the Hulk is the embodiment of that. And most recently, he's also, I'm pretty sure he is the embodiment, or I forget the word I'm thinking of, but the one below all. He's the avatar of the one below all. There you go. Which in Marvel Comics, if you're not familiar, the one above all is essentially like God, which doesn't appear very often. He's obviously like the strongest being in the universe, in the omniverse, so to say. And the one below all is supposed to reflect the opposite of that, very, like, not to get, like, religious, but like God and Satan type thing, right? And so it's very recently that found out that the Hulk is basically the avatar of the one below all, which feeds into the whole immortality thing. So even if it wasn't Bruce Banner, essentially, the Hulk as a presence would exist in some capacity. So I don't know why I gave a whole history lesson there about the Hulk, which I might be even wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm mostly correct. If I said anything incorrect, please correct me. But I would say the Hulk is definitely a more interesting character. Doomsday in a death battle, I think, would win. And that might be slightly controversial to some Hulk fans out there.
I think I'd agree with that. I think that sounds pretty on point to me. At least from, I mean, someone able to kill Superman multiple times, I think for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy. I like that one for me. Let's pull the next main quest ticket. Ooh, in the same realm of things. I like that we stay kind of nerdy and geeky sometimes.
Love being nerdy and geeky.
That's the whole point of the podcast. This one is Batman in the Arkham games versus Spider-Man in the Insomniac games.
So we're not talking about the games themselves. We're talking about those specific characters in the games.
Yeah. So not which one's the better game. Like, who would win?
This is a fight.
Yeah. Similar to the Hulk Doomsday thing. But it's the version from Arkham and the version from Insomniac.
That's very tough because I'm thinking through gameplay and I feel like they're pretty evenly matched. Am I crazy? Maybe Super Spider-Man does a little bit more, has a bit of an edge to him.
I mean, the gameplay is similar, right? Like, there's this huge meme that my brother and I have that we share between each other. It's also common on the internet for these two games, where it's like, who would you rather encounter on the streets if you were a criminal? Batman or from Arkham or Spider-Man from Insomniac? And it's almost so, and it'll show clips of like, it'll start off with Batman beating people down till they're unconscious or whatever, like doing some karate chop thing, some flip kick, bam, and they're knocked out. And then it cuts to Spider-Man from Insomniac, and he's like, you have to put in your head the actual strength level of Spider-Man as a character, right? And that the fact that he like holds back all the time because he's so strong. But when you're playing this game, it's almost like there's no holding back with him.
Yeah, now think about it. I do remember like throwing a lot of people off of roofs,
right?
And never going to get them. I remember a lot of like throwing like sewer grates at people's heads at like 100 miles an hour. Yeah,
I'll kill somebody. Literally kill somebody.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And it's like at first thought you're like, well, I don't want to encounter Batman in a dark alley, but like, would you encounter that Spider-Man?
I mean, like, if you like look at the games like very briefly, Spider-Man's a lot more sunny and friendly, like looking at the game, the look of the game, you know what I mean, compared to
and
Batman,
as a character.
Yeah, exactly. And Batman's a lot more dark and just like his perpetual darkness and it's scary and stuff. But I think you're right. I think Spider-Man is so intense in those games. Yeah, it's got to be. I do remember throwing a lot of people off of roofs and like not catching them. So there's probably bodies littered everywhere.
Pretty sure this got so popular on the internet for a while that the people at Insomniac had to come out and say like, by the way, when you toss someone off the roof, Spider-Man technically throws a spider web along with them so that they're like zipped onto the building. And when
Jam.
But when you do actually go check, it is a thing.
Oh, is it really?
I'm pretty sure.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Because it would be crazy if Spider-Man killed somebody, which he can easily do.
But even so, you're still throwing, giant metal dumpsters at people and like crushing them,
cars and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing that Batman's gonna do to you is throw you a batarang, maybe a concussive grenade that's attached to the batarang. But Spider-Man, like, there are combos where you launch people into the air. I mean, the gameplay of Insomniac Spider-Man feeds on you doing aerial combos to like increase your bar, right? So the longer you keep someone juggled in the air and constantly ba-boom, ba-boom, the more you're rewarded.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I think the second game got away with it or got rid of it, but maybe in the first game, I don't know, I might have to play them again. I think in one of those games, like even when they're knocked out, you could like still keep grabbing them and still like keep doing aerial combos.
Really?
Which means like this man is beating you to a pulp beyond you having consciousness.
You're unconscious and he's still punching you.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it might be both games, but at least one of them, I'm pretty sure of this.
It's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's got to be Spider-Man. I mean, I honestly would even call it the better game to be.
I think it depends. I think if we're talking about like game-wise, story-wise, depending on which one, there's an argument for either or. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I love Batman for everything he is or whatever, and he is an emotionally compelling character. I mean, that's why he's like literally one of the top comic book characters of all time. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't like comic books, a lot of people like Batman. And I mean, the same for Spider-Man. He's very beloved. But like Arkham, I liked, what was it, Arkham Asylum? It's like probably one of the best games of all time. Arkham Knight was kind of, There were some things that were great about it, some things that were not. So yeah, and I think Spider-Man 2 also is not without its flaws. I think Spider-Man 1 is probably a perfect game, like for that IP. So it's tough, and I'm pretty biased because obviously like Spider-Man is on my wall. I wouldn't call myself a Batman fanatic, but yeah, I think the Arkham games are really good. They're really great.
Yeah, I think both are definitely beloved for sure. I just think like the story and the storytelling, the gameplay, the pure exploration of Spider-Man, I think it's just like I could get lost in that game a lot easier personally. And I think it does a good mix of comic book versus reality. Like it balances it really well, as opposed to Batman, which leans a lot more heavy into the comic book side of things. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I do think sometimes there's parts I could feel a little sillier. Like looking at
Interesting.
Poison Ivy walking out and she's just in her underwear. It's like, okay, like that's a little too like that's so
Yeah.
too fanboy-y, as opposed to like Spider-Man where you like believe the world a little bit more.
I think that's a DC versus Marvel thing, though. Like, Marvel is supposed to be more grounded in reality. DC is more high fantasy. Yeah, I mean, there's arguments for both. Like, DC is more grounded in terms of, like, the magical, mystical stuff. But, like, it's obviously the more... It's just like, it's the classic quintessential superheroes with, like, the underwear outside of their costumes.
Yeah.
It's very, like, campy that way. Marvel is more like the world in Marvel is more grounded, but like it has a bunch of like magic and mysticism and stuff like that around it. I always refer to this because it's what most comic book people would say. You know, DC is gods amongst men, and Marvel is more men that become gods. So like that's kind of the
Okay. I think it's a good way to look
idea
at
of
it. Yeah.
that. Yeah, because you have the mutant, like they're all humans when they start off for the most part. That become super powered. A
Yeah.
lot of DC is like Wonder Woman, who's an Amazon goddess, Superman, who's a Kryptonian, but to humans he's like a god. You know,
I do also
stuff like
think
that.
like the level of God in DC is much higher too than the level of God in Marvel when it comes to a lot of their character. Like Thor is a literal god, but I do feel like he still can get beat up, and there's as opposed to people like you have Superman, you have Green Lantern, and I feel like they don't get their asses handed. Or Wonder Woman, I feel like they don't get their asses handed. Superman doesn't.
We just talked about Doomsday
He
killing
died,
Superman.
but I do think like for the most part, they're a lot more like could take down cities easier. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
DC, like I said, they're gods amongst men, so they are highly more superpowered. I hope this is in the bucket. I don't know if I did or not, but Justice League versus Avengers, I 100% would say Justice League wins every day of the week. If you want to fight me on it, I come on the podcast. We could fight about it.
He also
There's
it depends on the argument. Is this them fighting each other, or is this
Oh, yeah.
which one's better? Okay,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yes, I agree.
Justice League, hands down, will body the Avengers. Now, for comic book fans out there, because although I'm comic book fan adjacent, I like to say, because I didn't read a lot of comics, but I know about a lot of comics, and I like a lot of comic book media. If we're talking about mutants versus Justice League, we have an argument there. But if we're talking about just the Avengers versus Justice League wins hands down every day of the week, unless the Avengers team includes a mutant, which they most of the times do. And in that case, you're still getting a mutant.
I mean, depends on the specific mutant, but
If it's Scarlet Witch, I can 100% see your
Okay.
argument for the Avengers maybe having a chance. But you can't tell me that Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Superman, of course. You can't tell me that Captain America, a base level human with just high stamina and strength, and Iron Man, a base level human in a suit, is beating Superman and Wonder Woman. Like there's no earthly realm where I can wrap my head around
no,
that.
you're 100% right. Or Hawkeye, a base level human. Period. Like there's yeah.
Right, exactly. The only Avengers that have a case here are the Hulk, Thor, Scarlet Witch, and any other mutant that comes to join the Avengers, which is just a cop-out. Yes, that's my take. That's a cop-out. The Avengers literally exist because they don't sell their own books, so they needed to rope them in and tie them in with with characters that do sell, and that's why they exist. So the Justice League wins hands down every day of the week, and that's coming from a Marvel fan myself.
I think that's fair. I do think if the argument is fighting, I think it's stronger, but I do think the Avengers are more interesting for sure. And more well balanced.
Well, we're talking about Batman and Spider-Man here. We will pull that out because I will argue on that as well. There's no way.
That. Put it in the bucket. Put it in the boat.
There is no way that you're telling me an alcoholic Iron Man and a bland Captain America is more compelling than an immigrant Superman and a goddess who's on an island of only women and a boy who lost both of his parents and so he becomes a vigilante to save his town is less interesting than a super soldier and an alcoholic guy who's smart.
Hold on. A super soldier pulled out of time, struggling to figure out what ideals of America he actually believes in.
Which, by the way, is his only interesting fact.
A genius entrepreneur who is battling an addiction that many people battle, which I think makes it very interesting that somebody so powerful.
Which Batman is, and he doesn't have to have alcoholism to make him interesting. Like, yes, it's relatable to be an alcoholic or to have some kind of vice, but Batman is more empathetic because people can relate to loss. And they're basically the same character in terms of like super level geniuses and technological. Batman is also a better combatant, so there's that.
I don't want to get into it because we could be here for a while, but I will say I do have my qualms with Batman as a superhero in general. I think there are many mistakes. I'll just say a multi-billionaire using his immense wealth to go beat up people instead of fixing the city structurally.
Same could be said about Iron Man with his wealth and using his wealth to create weapons that could potentially Ultron. Well, that's only the MCU, so my bad.
Fair.
His suits, Armor Wars, which is a story about his armor, like that, there's a risk of his armor being used as weapons, and he also, instead of just like using his wealth to fix New York City,
that's fair.
For example.
I'm not comparing it to Iron Man here. I'm just saying Batman in general, I think, is more living out a rage-based fantasy as opposed to actually trying to save people. But we went way on a tangent on that one. I mean, it was fun, but we went way off. There was a moment where I was like, what were we even arguing again? We were arguing video games.
I had to look at the ticket again because I also was concerned with where we were going with that. Honestly, I can't wait for that to be pulled out of the bucket because maybe that'll just be its own episode. Maybe we don't even pull out of the bucket. Maybe that'll just be its own episode. And on that note, if you guys ever want to be on the show and to be included in these obviously fierce debates, then let us know. Follow us on socials. Send us a message. We have the email youversuswho. Again, it's either youversuswho@gmail.com or youversuswhopodcast@gmail.com. It will be both. I imagine whoever owns the other. Maybe it doesn't even exist. Who knows? But it will be in the show notes. Thank you guys again for yet another wonderful episode of You Versus Who. If you enjoy what you heard here today, give us a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, a 5-star rating. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think. If there is something you want to be added into the bucket, we will add it in. That'll be cool. What else? Yeah, subscribe, follow us on socials, like you said. And then let us know what we got wrong. Comment on our pages. Tell us what disagreements you have. Tell the people why you agree with me and don't you disagree with Sven. I mean, I know you want to say it, so just go ahead. No, I haven't mentioned this on the podcast, I don't think, yet before, but I like to be right. And so part of the inspiration for this podcast as well is not only to be able to get to know you better and to be able to debate a lot of my favorite things, but a huge part of it is also to be called out when I'm wrong, because I have a hard time with that. And so to Dan's point, yes, if I am incorrect in anything, please let me know. I love to be right, and I know that I'm not always, but that's why we grow. And I can at least admit that. Yeah, and if I am incorrect in anything, just tell Sven why he's more incorrect. Gotta love it. Dan can never stoop.
I'm here to undermine this show.
Oh yeah. Remember, this is the guy that said 10-foot buckets, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Forgot we had video. You're happy. You should be lucky. It's the only lie I told.
But we have plenty of surprises coming you guys' way. I have announced it before, but we will be weekly going forward. And so we have a lot more episodes and more ideas and more debates and more arguments to share with you guys all. We love you all. Anything you want to finish off with, Dan?
No, just, subscribe.
Also follow him at Starcade Show on YouTube.
Yes, please follow Starcade Show on YouTube at Starcade Show.
Shameless plug. And with that, the final verdict has been called. Spider-Man is better than Batman. I said it here.
I love it. No argument here. In every way. Foot.